And I think it's so important. I mean, and both me and you and Sean have gotten onto this. I mean, I started with this journey very much like you, with my wife struggling to ride up a hill with a bicycle, and then started digging, and we found ferritin, and her ferritin level was 14 at the time, but normal HB. And since Vernon's talk, I've started testing my kids 6 monthly, and it's almost impossible to get a kid, even on a good supplement, to get them above a ferritin of 100. And maybe we should talk about a level of a ferritin that you see as okay for an athlete, because I think it's different for the normal population and an athlete.
So that is very, very important, is what is normal. So you, before I said, I like to function within the realm of good data. And unfortunately, here it's going to be functioning in the realm of good opinions and not good data. So that's my disclaimer. So I think it doesn't matter what your laboratory says. It's safe to say that if your ferritin is less than 50, whether you're a couch potato or a comrades marathon, if your ferritin is less than 50, you are iron deficient, full stop. So that applies to everybody. So, but then that area between 50 and 100 is sort of a little bit of a uncomfortable area where, and most people actually say that your ferritin should be up into at least 100. Specifically, if you think of the pleiotropic effects of iron, and maybe we must even talk about why is iron such a big deal. And it's not just about the hemoglobin. So we want to make sure that your iron stores are full, and we definitely would like it closer up to 100 and not as low as we can possibly go. So, but the data supports a 50.
We've got that. And I think what we should also tell people, the reason why you get those symptoms early is because the marrow is such a glut for iron to try and keep you going with an HB. So, and you said once your HB has fallen, the body's been sucked dry of iron. Am I getting this correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So generally we tell our students that iron deficiency happens in 4 stages. So the last stage is when my hemoglobin drops. The second last stage is when my MCV starts dropping. In the third stage, my bone marrow iron stores are actually dropping. And in the first stage, often I've just got these funny little symptoms. My hair's falling out. I'm a bit more moody than my usual self. And so it's basically asymptomatic, but my ferritin is already low.
Yeah. Okay. So the symptoms that you explained there, that's all energy related. And I think maybe we can just touch on that, why, those symptoms and how the iron fits into the energy production. Maybe people will understand why you get all these funny symptoms before your HB falls.
Yeah. So, yes, iron is very important to make hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is the biggest, if you think of where iron goes in your body, hemoglobin is by far the most important place where iron is used. And obviously, your red cells do carry oxygen, so having enough hemoglobin means that I can carry enough oxygen, from my respiration down to my muscle. So yes, that is the biggest component of the energy cycle. But what we often overlook is the role of iron in the mitochondria. So the mitochondria for the athletes is the powerhouse of the cell. And without a mitochondria that works, you can take as much, performance enhancing whatever as you like. You are not going to turn whatever that is, no matter how good your diet was, no matter how many vitamins you took, you're never going to turn what you put into energy, because the mitochondria is important to make ATP. And that is your energy. It's important for growth. And when we speak about growth, I'm not meaning in length, but just in maintaining my muscle mass and my bone mass as well. And then obviously that then translates into your energy. So we can't enter the aerobic cycle of metabolism without iron, because that is entirely dependent on iron. So you need iron to make energy. But the other place that we often overlook and where iron is important is there's a protein that sounds just like hemoglobin, and that is myoglobin. So myoglobin is your muscles. And you cannot make good muscles without iron. So your muscles are going to become sore, they're going to become tired, they're just not going to do what you want them to do, no matter how hard you train. And often that also is why we become exhausted. But beyond just your skeletal muscles, the ones that we see and that we're working out, there are other muscles that you're not working out. But although you might be working out without realizing it, and that's your respiratory muscles. So your intercostal muscles, your diaphragm, those are also muscles that are highly dependent on iron, just like any other muscle. So this is part of the reason why people start to get tired. And they've done great studies actually in older people, looking at their respiratory function when they're iron deficient, fixing up just their iron deficiency and how much better their respiratory function is. So why can't that be true for an athlete as well? I think that you could apply that there because you're highly dependent on good quality breathing as an athlete. Well, I'm thinking of my daughter as a swimmer. Breathing is a big deal there. So that's, I think, the biggest reasons why iron is important in energy beyond just hemoglobin.